The Seventh Hokage's blood stained the sacred stones of Mount Myoboku a very dark shade of crimson. The sun simply vanished from the sky, and the magic mountain froze solid. The kid who used to hate frogs became the only hope left, but his alien power was completely snuffed out and useless. It all started just a few hours before this absolute massacre went down. You remember how Kawaki was smashing rocks out of pure rage. He couldn't absorb that damn natural energy no matter how hard he tried. And Naruto was just about to give up on teaching the brat. Training was a total train wreck because Kawaki only wanted to use brute force, and Senjutsu requires peace of mind. So Naruto sat by the magic oil pond and started explaining the true origin of that sacred mountain. But Kawaki turned his back and said that power was weak and useless for defeating a real god. And it was exactly in that second of pure arrogance that the sky cracked open with an absurd and deafening sound. We always expect the enemy to give a long speech before attacking, but the reality was an instant and brutal nightmare. An unknown Otsutsuki dropped from the clouds like a black meteor and smashed the ground right between the two ninjas. He didn't say a single word and just raised his right hand to the sky with a terrifying coldness. Then a gigantic annihilation sphere sucked up all the sunlight and turned the day into a freezing and desperate night. Kawaki tried to activate his karma on basic survival instinct, but the villain's darkness canceled out his body's resonance. He felt a paralyzing terror because his greatest trump card simply evaporated from his blood in the blink of an eye. But Naruto didn't think twice and activated six-path Sage mode to defend his adopted student. And the collision of the Hokage's punch against the invader's invisible barrier made the whole mountain shake and split in half. Hope lasted less than a second because the Otsutsuki smiled in a macabre way and tore through the perfect defense like it was tissue paper. He pulled out a blade of condensed chakra and drove it straight into Naruto's chest without showing any hesitation or mercy. Blood sprayed through the dark air, and the great hero fell to his knees, spitting a red puddle onto the sacred frog ground. And Kawaki stood there completely frozen, watching the person he loved most in the world collapse in front of him. Bro, you can't even imagine the absolute despair that took over that traumatized kid's mind in that terrible hour. He tried to scream, but his voice wouldn't leave his throat because the enemy's spiritual pressure was crushing the oxygen out of the entire area. But Naruto still had the strength to look at Kawaki and whisper for him to forget the hate and feel life vibrating all around. And that was the last thing the Hokage said before closing his eyes and falling motionless on the cold stone floor. The normal thing would be for Kawaki to explode with rage and charge at the villain in a blind and totally suicidal fury like he always does. But an unprecedented plot twist happened inside his mind in that exact millisecond of extreme pain and deep mourning. He remembered his master's words and closed his eyes, refusing all the vengeful darkness that tried to take over his broken heart. And then he took a deep breath for the first time and felt the life energy of the plants and frogs flowing and pulsing in the freezing air. That absolute silence broke the curse of fear, and the alien invader stepped forward ready to finish the boy off with a single lethal and definitive blow. But Kawaki's body began to pulse at a different magic frequency, and the black karma tattoo reacted with the mountain soil. A blinding golden glow tore through the darkness of the eclipse and instantly blinded the Otsutsuki with an overwhelming force. And what emerged from that pure and warm light is going to blow your mind and change the history of the ninja world forever. The brutal light cut through the darkness like a sword of pure hope, and the Otsutsuki had to cover his eyes. But the scene left behind in the middle of the magic dust was completely impossible to believe. Kawaki wasn't attacking with fury because he was kneeling and holding the Seventh Hokage's cold hand. And he was crying in silence while a glowing energy began to wrap around his battered body. You know, the original karma is driven by rage and destruction, but the kid decided to do the exact opposite of that. The black mark began to burn his face because the alien power wanted to turn that mourning into pure revenge. His whole body was shaking with pain because the evil DNA was fighting against his mind. But he remembered Naruto's peaceful smile, and then he grit his teeth and forced his own hate to vanish. The stone floor around Kawaki started to crack, but it wasn't because of brute force. Small, glowing roots sprouted from the fissures and hugged the boy's legs because the mountain felt the peace in his heart. The ancestral frogs that were hiding began to sing in harmony, and their sound cleansed the dirty air. And the vital and healing energy of all nature began to converge straight into the center of his chest. The alien villain sensed the threat and didn't just stand there waiting for the miracle to happen in front of him. He raised his left hand and fired a spear of dark matter straight at the kid's head to end the game. But Kawaki didn't even need to dodge because the magic roots formed an instant shield and absorbed the deadly impact. The fastest attack in the universe simply turned into glowing dust, and then the Otsutsuki took a step back in fear. The pain of that useless training finally made sense to Kawaki because he understood the secret of Mount Myoboku. Natural energy cannot be dominated by force, but it accepts anyone who offers their heart as an empty and calm vessel. The dark mark on his body began to boil, and the black ink was expelled by the light of nature. And an incandescent gold took the place of the ancient curse, wiping away every trace of evil from his soul. The tattoo changed shape and drew sacred lines that looked like solar flames on his arms and face. The boy's eyes lost that murderous void and became frog pupils with an absurd celestial glow. An aura of gentle heat melted the deadly ice the villain had placed on a magic mountain. But this peaceful energy was so dense that it made the air around them weigh tons and sank the stone floor. Kawaki didn't care about the panicked enemy and focused all that radiant energy on his adopted father's dying body. He slammed his glowing hand onto the Hokage's bleeding chest and injected pure celestial life straight into his stopped heart. The mortal wound closed instantly, and Naruto started breathing deeply and safely again. And only after saving his master's life did the kid stand up slowly and face the invading god. Bro Kawaki's posture was unrecognizable because he wasn't hunched over and full of blind fury anymore. He floated a few inches off the ground, and magic nature supported his body as if he were a feather. The Otsutsuki roared with hate because the blinding light was searing his pale and perfect skin. Then the villain summoned 3 massive black meteors and threw them all at once at the glowing boy. Any ninja would try to blow those space rocks up with destructive power, but Kawaki made a smooth movement with his hands. He spun the golden air around his body and created a peaceful whirlpool that swallowed the giant meteors. The deadly rocks lost their strength and turned into thousands of glowing lotus petals that fell like gentle rain. And the villain's jaw dropped because his supreme strike was canceled out with pure magic beauty. Kawaki opened his hands, and the golden aura that formed there wasn't made of alien destruction. It was made of the purest celestial light and pulsed with the heartbeat of the living mountain itself. The villain went into an absolute panic and decided to open a dimensional portal to summon a weapon that devours entire planets. But the golden boy smiled in a mysterious way and made a single hand sign that paralyzed all of time around them. Time seemed frozen, but Kawaki moved at light speed and shattered the enemy's portal into 1,000 glowing pieces. The Otsutsuki screamed in frustration and tried to retreat because his escape plan was destroyed in a second. But the golden boy appeared in front of the villain and slammed his palm into his pale chest with unbelievable fluidity. The impact didn't make an explosion sound, but it sent the alien god flying against the mountain with the force of a hurricane. Bro, you need to visualize the absurd elegance of this new transformation because there wasn't a trace of brutality left. Kawaki wasn't punching the air, but he was dancing between the floating stones and using nature's energy as an extension of his own body. The invader stood up furious and fired thousands of black bone stakes to pierce the boy from all sides. But the solar light of the celestial sage mode melted every single weapon before they even touched his golden skin. The kid's superiority was so evident that the villain started to lose his mind in the middle of the magic battle. The Otsutsuki pulled all of his dark chakra and created a giant golem made of pure darkness to crush Mount Myoboku. The bizarre creature roared and brought down a colossal punch that covered half the sky with a terrifying and cold shadow. But Kawaki just smiled and pointed a finger upward. An array of golden light sliced through the monster's arm like butter. Man, that kid's energy was refracting the enemy's deadly strikes into rainbows of pure divine and peaceful power. The darkness giant tried another attack, and Kawaki spun in the air and kicked the vacuum, sending a shockwave of pure natural energy. The magic vibration went right through the giant beast's gut and purified the black magic, dissolving the monster into stardust. and the alien god fell to his knees on the stone floor, spitting black blood and trembling with absolute dread. Kawaki landed softly in front of the enemy, and his golden aura warmed the area, healing the plants destroyed by the golem. The Otsutsuki looked up with hate and activated a dark and cursed ocular eye in the middle of his own pale forehead. He tried to put the kid in an eternal mental trance and destroy his brain from the inside out. But the boy's mind was connected to the entire universe, and the illusion shattered the moment it touched his luminous aura. The villain realized that physical and mental attacks weren't working, so he decided to go for the most desperate strike of his race. He started to float and suck in all the dark matter from deep space to form a planetary annihilation sphere. The gravitational pressure bent the mountain, and the ancestral frog screamed because the weight of the world seemed to fall on their backs. But Kawaki stayed calm and closed his eyes to feel the flow of that massive and aggressive energy. The black sphere grew so much it covered the sky and blocked the view of every star or cloud on the magic horizon. The Otsutsuki laughed like a lunatic and warned that he would turn the entire planet into cosmic ash in a matter of seconds. But Kawaki joined his hands in a lotus seal, and the golden karma mark glowed with the intensity of a rising sun. And the entire mountain vibrated in response to its new guardian's call and sent streams of light to the boy's arms. The life energy of Mount Myoboku fused with the boy's celestial light and formed a spiritual avatar of a giant frog made of liquid gold. That divine construct didn't have sharp claws or killer teeth, but it radiated a peace so deep that it calmed even the chaotic wind. The alien god launched the annihilation sphere downward with all his might, and the imminent impact promised to wipe out everything in existence. But Kawaki didn't back down an inch and raised both hands to catch the planetary bomb head-on. The contact of the golden light with the absolute darkness generated a silent flash that lit up the entire ninja continent. The gravitational force tried to crush Kawaki, but the natural energy of the celestial sage flowed through his arms and stabilized the cosmic weight. He wasn't trying to destroy the sphere because he wanted to reverse the frequency of that deadly attack using pure magic harmony. And cracks of light began to spread across the black surface of the alien bomb in a fascinating way. The Otsutsuki went into shock and tried to force the sphere down, but the boy's was much greater and purer. Kawaki opened his celestial eyes and sent a wave of compassion and life straight into the core of the lethal weapon. The darkness boiled, and the giant sphere began to shrink and change color in front of the panicked villain's wide eyes. But suddenly the alien god smiled and revealed a bizarre secret that was hidden inside that black magic the whole time. A red and macabre silhouette emerged from the center of the shrinking sphere and grabbed Kawaki's wrists with brutal force. The Otsutsuki wasn't trying to destroy the planet, but he used the bomb as bait to trap the boy in an ancient spiritual snare. The golden light flickered and failed for a second, and the coldness of death returned to the boy's body, surprised by the betrayal. And the red creature opened a giant mouth to swallow the hero's peaceful soul once and for all. The red monster squeezed Kawaki's wrists and tried to suck all his life energy in a single second. The coldness of death froze the boy's blood because the trap was designed to destroy pure souls. But the kid didn't panic and just looked deep into the hollow eyes of that aberration. And he understood that this creature wasn't a demon, but rather the true form of the Otsutsuki's fear. Any ninja would fight to break free and end up losing their arms in that absurd strength. But Kawaki did the complete opposite of what the alien villain expected and pulled the creature into a hug. The light of the celestial sage didn't burn the darkness entity, but instead lit up its interior. And the boy's glowing mark began to pulse at the same rhythm as that bizarre monster's desperate heart. The Otsutsuki screamed in terror from the outside because his spiritual connection was being invaded by pure goodness. He tried to pull the trap back, but Kawaki had already mastered the frequency of that black magic. The kid's golden aura flowed through the shadow arms and found the origin of the alien villain's pain. And then the hero fired an absurd wave of compassion straight into the invading god's corrupted mind. The red creature let out a sigh of relief and melted in the boy's arms, turning into stardust. Kawaki opened his celestial eyes and faced the Otsutsuki with genuine pity shining on his face. The villain fell to his knees and started crying blood because the pure light was cleansing centuries of evil from his soul. and the enemy's pale body began to crack and emit beams of light through every wound. Bro, the divine purification was happening right in front of your eyes, and the scene was just too beautiful. The golden boy floated down to the fallen god and placed his hand on top of his head with great gentleness. The karma didn't suck the enemy's life, but instead transferred all the peace of the magic mountain into him. And the Otsutsuki finally smiled for the first time in his life and accepted the end of his reign of absolute terror. The invader's body completely dissolved, and not a single drop of blood was left on the stone floor. He turned into a glowing river of pure vital energy, and this magic rained down over all of Mount Myoboku. The plants that were destroyed in the battle sprouted again and grew 100 times faster and stronger. And the ancestral frogs came out of their hiding spots and sang a song of gratitude for the new guardian of nature. The rain of golden light fell over Naruto's body and erased every scar from that impossible battle. The Seventh Hokage opened his eyes and saw the clear sky with the sun shining hotter than ever. He stood up slowly and looked at Kawaki floating in the air in that armor of pure celestial energy. And the master cried with pride because his rebellious student had surpassed the legends and achieved true peace. Kawaki landed on the stone floor, and the golden tattoo shrank until it vanished into the palm of his hand. The frog eyes went back to normal, but kept an eternal spark of starlight in the pupils. He hugged his adopted father and thanked him for the training because Naruto's love was the key to everything. And the alien threat vanished from the entire planet, closing this dark war once and for all. The story of the mountain attack ended with a perfect victory, but the ninja universe never has absolute peace. The massive energy from this purification ripped through dimensions and activated an ancient altar hidden on the dark side of the moon. A bizarre statue cracked in half, and a pair of white and furious eyes opened in the silence of space. And the true leader of the gods realized that a miserable human stole the supreme, celestial power of his race. Man, this golden awakening changed the rules of the game, and the next enemy is going to be beyond crazy. Drop a like on this video and subscribe here so you don't miss the shocking continuation that's already finished. There's a secret video on the channel showing Boruto's reaction when he feels his brother's insane energy. Click there now because things are about to get real, and I'll see you on the other side.